obviously got to feel good, and I just want to get your first thoughts on your performance tonight and how the fight played out.
Thank you first, and yeah, I always kind of start off kind of hot, you know. And my coach always says, "Calm down, be patient, be patient." Was patient. There was a time where I fainted, and I saw his right hand go down, and in my head I'm thinking, okay, it's the perfect time to throw a hook because obviously it leaves that that side of his head open. So yeah, just be a little more patient. My hands were down kind of, but I always throw heat. I land bombs, and I put them out. So I'm happy for that.
You and I have talked a few times, and one of the key points that we've talked about is your speed advantage over some of your opponents on the feet. Did you feel that early on, like in the opening seconds, that you would have a decisive speed advantage, especially standing up?
Yeah, definitely. I had speed. My first fight, I fought at 170. I still had speed. So, you know, going down, it's probably going to be a little bit faster even. So, yeah, I knew I had speed. I knew I was all around better than him. So, yeah, going into the fight, I was super confident. Last fight I had, I was kind of looking at him right in the eyes, and it left me distracted. And as soon as the fight started, I was looking at his eyes, and then I had to remind myself to look at the chest. That way I could see everything going on. So, yeah, a few adjustments. I'm just trying to get better each and every fight.
Last question for me. I want to get your thoughts on, you know, what your team has really meant to you in this process. Obviously, working with a lot of veterans down there at Extreme Couture. Just kind of want to get your thoughts on that.
It means everything to me. You know, I'm super, super blessed and grateful to be at Extreme Couture. I have a team of coaches that are unbelievable. You know, my head coach, Dennis Davis, Eric Nixick, James Gifford, Eddie Baracco. These are all just tremendous coaches, and they work with some of the best in the world. My teammates as well, you know, Maz Burnell, Nicholas Mota, he's fighting tomorrow in the UFC. He's an up-and-coming lightweight. Blake Monty, he's still an amateur, but he's up-and-coming too, and the dude's a beast. Jeremy Kennedy, Kai Kamaka. There's just so many teammates that I work with that are just so helpful to my game, and yeah, I'm super grateful to be at Extreme Couture.
Congrats, man.
Thank you.
So, Undisputed? Did you look like a butterfly sting, like a bee when you threw that over here, right?
I definitely stung. Yeah, I could have floated a little more, but yeah, definitely stung.
And just following up on what he said, just the crisp and the beauty of the hands when you caught him.
Yeah.
You know, when you were training and striking, did you kind of sneak off and you're like, okay, let me pop some tapes of Granddaddy. Let me see how he feels. Let me see what's going on with you.
Before I was fighting, I always watched my grandfather. He's like a superhero to me. You know, growing up, you know, when you were a kid, you don't really understand or grasp the impact that he really made on the world. But as I got older, I started to kind of understand a little bit more and more, and I'm still learning, you know. I'm only 24, so, but yeah, like I've been watching his tape throughout my entire life. He invented the rope-a-dope, and that's how he defeated George Foreman when the entire world thought that he was going to lose that. Yeah, he's a superhero to me.
Now you got to cut the promos. Now we got to hear you. You know what I'm saying? Got to hear the Ali trash.
It's what's crazy is he did all the trash talking. I don't really need to do the trash talk because I let my hands talk. Yeah.
Curious, you know, training at Extreme Couture, is it more pressure when you know that Randy's out there calling the fight, knowing that his name's always attached?
Yeah. No, I definitely want to impress Randy. You know, I train at his gym. I first met Randy when I was like 11 years old, and just it's ironic that I'm now training at his gym. So it's crazy how life works. You know, God's plan is always the best plan. We think we know things and we don't, but God is all knowing. So and I'm just super faithful to God and have a great relationship with him. And I think that that's why there's so much success.
And then I want to ask, you know, in regards to your grandfather, you had a pretty big moment in Atlanta, not too far from here, lighting the Olympic flame and all that. I mean, did you go out there? Were you aware of that? Just talk to me.
No, I knew he lit the torch out here. My brother actually fought out here, I think in 2021. We stayed at the Omni, which was right by the park, I think, where the Olympics were. They got a tour over there. I think I was either sleeping or eating. So I missed it, unfortunately. But yeah, I think that moment in '96 was when the world kind of saw his disability and whatnot. So it meant a lot to win this fight.
Yeah. All right. Over here and then over to the other side.
First off, congratulations on the win.
Thank you.
What has the opportunity to fight in the PFL meant to you?
It's meant everything. They see potential in me, and it's a blessing. It's a huge blessing that they see potential in me, because they actually came to me when I was 0-1. I lost my first amateur fight at 170, and I was kind of bummed out, but it kind of lit a fire in me. I wanted to get back to it. And then I heard about the PFL wanting to sign me. I'm like, what? I'm 0-1. Like, why? You know, why me? But I guess they see potential. They see me becoming a champion someday, and that's what I want to do. You know, the reason why I fight is so I can help people. You know, $1 million is enough to help a lot of people, so that's the main reason why I fight.
Well, and then speaking of that potential, this was an amateur fight once again. How soon do you maybe want to turn pro and start making that record?
Definitely. I don't think I'm ready to turn pro yet. I definitely want to up the skill level of my opponents. I'd like to go through a 3-round just war where we're both cut up and we're bleeding at the face and everything. I think that to me, that's what fighting's all about, is the back and forthness, the kind of like what the pioneers did, like Randy Couture, Chuck Liddell, Ben Henderson, like all these guys. So I think going through a war like that will help me better when I go pro, but right now I'm coming off just first-round knockouts and stuff. I don't think I'm ready yet.
And then lastly for me, is there a part of your game that you really want to work on? I mean, you want to wrestle around with Randy for a while, or something else you want to get into?
I train at Randy's gym, and before my New York fight, I think, he came in and was showing me a lot of stuff with single leg defense, chain wrestling and stuff, and I was super grateful to get that from Randy Couture himself. So, actually throughout my camps, most of what I do is wrestling and grappling. I do striking maybe once, twice a week, and then spar, but throughout my camps, every camp that I've had ever since my second fight, I've only been wrestling and grappling. People say, oh, we've never seen wrestling or grappling from you, but I'm fighting in MMA. You know, there's always going to be an opportunity to wrestle and grapple. So, but right now I like putting people to sleep. Thank you.
So Trevell is actually a guy from the scene here in Atlanta, and he's often complained about how no one wants to stand with him, people only want to take him down, and you gave him the fight that he wanted, and he gave you the fight that you wanted. Was it exciting to go out there with a guy that was going to stand and trade with you until one man fell? Yeah,
sure. You know, I watched his last fight. I think he fought April 21st. But he fought an opponent that's too hesitant. He fought an opponent that respected him too much. I want to walk you down, and I want you to taste my fists. So I don't think he's used to an opponent like that. That's why I knew going into this fight that he's not going to be ready for me.
So one of these guys asked you a great question about how you got some great pop on your punches, but more importantly than that, you also got that dog in you. When did you first realize that, you know, you're not just, you know, a good technical guy, you're also a real fighter at the core?
Yeah, I actually, there was a moment where I thought I had that same thought actually. Before my first amateur fight, I was helping Maz Burnell, one of my teammates and great friends, get ready for his fight. And he needed a sparring partner that would spar with him because a lot of guys say no. So I said, yeah, I'll do it. And we went in the cage and we did 5-minute rounds, basically a title fight. And he just whooped my ass. I mean, he dropped me like 3 times with liver shots. And I remember there was a moment where he said, hey, like, you don't have to be a superhero. Like, we could be done right now. And I was like, no, like, you're not going to make me quit. And I think at that moment, that's when I kind of knew that I had a little bit of dog in me because he's top in the world in Bellator. So, yeah, I think at that moment, that's kind of when I thought that I had the dog in me.
So a lot of fighters talk about how amateurs doesn't count. I mean, who cares if you lose?
It doesn't.
You're going to go pro. And
Yep.
It erases it doesn't erase your amateur record, but you start over.
Exactly.
But this isn't just any amateur career. I mean, you're fighting on ESPN main card. So what do you think it's going to be like when you finally make that transition to pro?
Oh, when I go pro, I'll definitely be prepared. You know, there's no amateur in the world that's signed with a major organization. There's no amateur in the world that's in front of all of these cameras, doing these interviews, flying to Atlanta, doing ABC, CBS, Bleacher Report, all these stuff in one day, fighting on ESPN on a big stage. There's no amateur in the world getting that. And I'm blessed enough to get that kind of experience. So by the time I go pro, it's going to be second nature to be in front of all these cameras and whatnot. And I mean, I was doing this kind of stuff when I was 14 years old in high school football. So I believe that everything happens for a reason. I believe that this is all happening so that I could become a champion.
Congrats, man.
Thank you.
Right here in the middle.
So you obviously just touched upon being prepared. Excuse me. for going pro, and you said you're not going to go pro yet. So what is next? What's your next step? Do you have an eye on some fight, something you're looking to do next? What do you got?
What's next is I'm just going to get another fight. My goal right now is just to get as much experience as possible. I think each time that I step into the cage, I feel a little bit more comfortable, a little bit more comfortable, a little bit more comfortable than the last time. So yeah, just get another fight and just get as much experience as possible. Definitely up the skill level of my opponents as well too, so that I'm tested even more, and maybe it goes to the second round or third round, and who knows, maybe it's a brutal war. But yeah, the plan is just to get another fight and get another fight and then sit down with my coach and see what he thinks is next.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
We had obviously your brother at cage side and Flavor Flav as well. He comes to do all of them. Could you hear those guys? Like they were right in there. And
Yeah.
They were like extra quartermen pretty much.
Yeah. No, couldn't hear him. The only person I can hear is my coach.
Obviously, it's pretty special to have guys like that, in your corner. I mean, they've been there for pretty much all of your fights so far.
Yeah. Yeah. My brother's super supportive of me. He'll never miss one of my fights. I'm super supportive of my brother. I'll never miss one of his fights. What we're doing, we understand that we both have the pressure of Muhammad Ali's grandson and stuff like that. So we're very supportive of each other. I've always supported him in boxing. Even when I was playing football, he was super supportive of me. But yeah, me and my brother, we have a great relationship. Flav, he's an awesome hype man. So I saw him today. He came by my room in the hotel and he was hyping me up. And I'm like, oh, I want to go now. He's really good. He brings such good energy. So yeah, I'm thankful for them.
Best hype man of all time, maybe?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Biaggio, first off, congratulations on your win.
Thank you.
You have always been kind of outspoken about your faith. Walk me through a little bit of how that's changed your mindset and how you've grown through that.
Yeah. It helps me because it lets me know what's really important. I don't believe that this life is it. I believe that after this life, you're either going to go to a good place or a bad place. I want to secure going to a good place. And how do you do that? You have a great relationship with God, and you give to your neighbor. You love your neighbor. You spread love, and you help people who need it more than you do and stuff like that. And that's what my faith tells me. I was born Muslim. I grew up Muslim my whole life. And just recently, I was getting a lot more close to my faith. I've been reading the Quran lately. I was actually reading the Quran in the back. And it reminds me and tells me what's really important. And yeah, and it helps with the pressure as well. The cameras, the lights, the people talking about you, all that stuff. It doesn't really matter at the end of the day. I'm going to die alone, as dark as it sounds. But I want to make sure that I go somewhere good. So that's the reason why I fight too. I think one day I'll be champion. One day I'll win that belt and win $1 million. And with that, maybe I can start my own charity. Maybe I can go around and give to homeless like my grandfather did. And yeah, so that is why I'm so faithful, I think.
That's a great answer.
Yeah.
You talk a lot about your brother. You guys are taking a little bit of different paths. Do you see yourself, crossing over to boxing at all, or is it just going to be mixed martial arts now?
Nothing's impossible. We've seen MMA fighters after their MMA career go to boxing. I'm not saying that that'll never happen. You can never say never. But right now, I'm only an amateur in MMA. I'm not even pro yet, So I'm in MMA right now. I'm going to be in MMA for a while. Maybe after my MMA career, I do a couple exhibitions or something. But yeah, it's possible. It's not impossible.
Well, thank you so much. Again, congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Sean.
Thank you.
Everywhere you go, like you just pointed out, your last name gets brought up.
Mm-hmm.
How do you guys handle the extra pressure, the criticism? Like, you're an amateur right now, and all eyes are on you. People are talking about you. They're scrutinizing every move you make inside that cage. What do you do, and how do you handle all that?
Again, kind of like answering his question, it's my faith and just knowing what's really important. That's what helps me a lot with the pressure, because there is a ton of pressure. I'm only an amateur, and there's all this media about me. There's all this talk. There's all these questions about when I'm going to turn pro. I'm in front of how many cameras? So as an amateur, right? So I think just going back to my faith and understanding what's really important, why I'm doing this, that's what helps me deal with the pressure, and it helps me a lot. I always tell myself before I fight, and even recently too, I'm ready to die in there. I'm ready to meet my maker when I go in there. And doing that, it kind of puts me at peace too, because it allows me to take more risks It allows me, thinking to myself, oh, these are my last moments. It allows me to do things that maybe somebody would be scared to do, you know. So I think that that's what helps me deal with the pressure. No, thank you.